let's practice some of our laws of exponents rules, and we'll look at this first one here. So we're going to take the numbers and we're going to multiply them together. So 3 times 8 is going to give us 24. The letters, we're going to add the exponents, so that's going to give us a to the 4th and b to the 5th. 15 divided by 5 is 3, and we're going to take 8 and we're going to subtract 5, so we end up with 3m to the 3rd power. This one here, the base stays the same, 3, and we're going to multiply our numbers together, 3 to the 8th, and if you expand that out, you're going to get 6,561. Okay, the next one, we're going to take negative 3 and we're going to cube it, so it would be minus 3 times minus 3 times minus 3. So you know you're going to get a negative. 3 times 3 is 9, and 9 times 3, that's going to give us 27. So power over power, that's showing an exponent 1. Or I shouldn't say it's showing. I put the 1 there, and it's assumed or expressed to be 1, even though there's nothing there. So 1 times 3 is going to give us 3. And the b, we're going to have 2 times 3, which is going to give us 6. Now, let's get rid of these brackets. Let's use our order of operations for this before we begin looking at simplifying this any. So we're going to have x to the 8th. We're going to have y to the 16th. And we're going to have z to the 24th. And next, we're going to have 5. X, 3 times 2 is 6. And we're going to have y, 2 times 2 is 4, and z, 2, and that's, again, there's an assumption there that there's no exponent there, so we're assuming that that's 1. So 1 times 2 gives us 2. Okay, so now we're going to divide. 15 divided by 5 is going to give us 3, and we're going to subtract our exponents here with like bases, so that's going to give us 8 subtract 6 is 2. And we're going to have 4 from 16 to give us 12. And z is going to give us 24 minus 2, which is going to give us 22. 5 to the minus 1, we can't have an exponent expressed as a negative, so we're going to put that over 1 over the number, and that'll give us 1 over 5. So next we have 183 to the 0 exponent. Anything to the 0 exponent is 1. And we showed you that in one of our lessons. We actually proved that out. So we're doing the shortcut here. We're just doing these practice problems. 6 to the minus 2 is going to be 1 over 6 squared, which is going to be 1 over 36, 6 times 6. This example is going to be 1 over minus 3 squared, which is 1 over minus 3 times minus 3, which gives us 1 over 9. Okay, and this one here looks a little more complicated, but it's no different than these other ones. You're simply going to have 1 over 2/3, we'll keep it in brackets, to the 1st power. Now we're going to write this way or express it this way. This is like saying 1 divided by 2 over 3, and we can express this by the reciprocal 1 over, when you're dividing, you're actually multiplying the reciprocal, so multiplying makes it look like 3 over 2, which is going to give us a final answer of 3 over 2. Okay, any division problem is basically you are multiplying by the reciprocal. Okay, so let's just kind of look at that. Let's take this just to show you this here. So if you had something like this, 6 divided by 3. Okay, well, we know the answer is 2, and 6 divided by 3 is the same as 6 divided by 3 over 1, which is going to be, if we follow this set of rules down here, and we multiply by the reciprocal, there's what you end up with, which is going to give us 6 over 3, which gives us our 2. Okay, not to try to complicate things, but when you're dividing, you are actually multiplying by the reciprocal. Okay, now this guy here looks a little more complicated, but really it's not. You're simply following the same rules. So let's go through and let's get rid of these brackets first. So we're going to end up with 4 times 4, which is going to give us 16. And we're going to have x to the 4th. And 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, y to the 6th power. And we do the same thing in the denominator. 2 cubed is going to give us 8. 2 times 2 times 2 times x to the 15th power, y to the 3rd power, and now we're just going to simplify. 16 divided by 8 is going to give us 2. We're going to subtract our exponents for the x literal coefficient, and that's going to be 4 subtract 15, which is going to be negative 11. And we're going to have 6 subtract 1, which is going to give us y to the 5th. Okay, now we know that, oh, I forgot my x there, sorry. We know that if you were given this, x to the minus 11, using your rules for negative exponents, you would express it like so. Okay, put 1 over your term with your negative exponent. Oh, I'm sorry, that should be a negative 11. Okay, so that's 1 over positive x to the 11th. Okay, so we can rewrite this guy here to make it look like this. 2 y to the 5th over x to the 11th would be your answer there. Okay, now let's look at this one here. 10 squared is going to give us, let's expand this out. So this is what we have, 10, and you're going to have 0 times 2, and you're going to have y's exponent, which is 0 times 2. So you're basically going to end up with, in each particular instance, you know anything to the 0 exponent is 1, 0 exponent is 1, so you have 100. X to the 0 gives you 1 because 0 times 2 is 0, and y to the 0 exponent is going to give us 1, so basically you end up with 100 times 1 times 1, which of course gives us 100. And this one here is just a really complicated way of saying anything to the power 0 is 1, but we can show it. We can expand it. 7 to the 0, well, we know that's 1. And x 3 times 0, well, we know that's 0, so that gives us 1. And 2 times 0 here is y to the 0, and we also know that's 1. So basically, here's what we have in this one. Look, we have 1 times 1 times 1. So simplified, our answer is 1. Next, we have this one. So let's, before we get rid of our brackets totally here, let's rewrite that, and we're going to simplify what's on the inside. So negative 7 times negative 7 is going to give us 49. And we're going to have a to the 4th power, b to the 8th power, and negative on the outside. We're simply going to drop our brackets. And our final answer is going to be a to the 4th, b to the 8th, because of course this is like negative 1, and negative 1 times 49, a to the 4th, b to the 8th, is going to be negative 49, a to the 4th, b to the 8th. Okay, now let's look, we're dividing here. Now this one looks kind of scary, but really, you know what? It's not. We have negative 4 x to the 12th power over 5. Now, I said this to you before, when you're dividing, what you are doing, we know the answer to 8 divided by 4 is 2. Okay, 4 into 8 goes twice. But when you're dividing, a lot of people don't realize you're actually multiplying. Look, that's the same as saying 4 over 1. You're actually multiplying by the reciprocal. And 8 times 1/4 gives us 8 over 4, which is 2, which is what we had in the original operation. Okay, so let's apply that here. So we're going to take what's in our denominator, or on the bottom, and put it on the top in the numerator. And same goes with the numerator. We're going to put that on the bottom in the denominator spot, so it will look like this, negative 16 x to the 10th power. Okay, now we're going to multiply the numbers out here. Negative 4 times 25 gives us negative 100 x to the 12th power. And 5 times negative 16 is negative 80. Well, we know our answer is going to be positive, negative by negative, and that's x to the 10th power. Okay, now, what are we going to do here? We're going to try to find a multiple that's common to both of them. And in this case, I think we have 20. 20 goes into 100 5 times, and it goes into 84 times. So I could say negative over negative, but we know that our answer is going to be positive, negative divided by a negative. So I'm just going to sneak that out of there because we know our answer is positive because of our two negatives here. Okay, and we subtract 10 from 12 to give us x to the second power. Okay, 5/4 x to the second. So that wasn't so bad. Okay, so let's look down here. We have negative 4 cubed. I'm sorry, negative 4a cubed multiplied by 3a to the 5th and negative 1a to the 4th power. So let's simplify this first. Let's multiply negative 4 times negative 4a to the 3rd power times 3a to the 5th power. We're going to end up with negative 12. Multiply our numbers. We're going to have our exponents. We're going to add the 3 and the 5 to give us 8. I'm just going to recopy this. Negative 1a over 4. And basically this, we're just going to multiply that straight up. That's assumed to be over 1. So negative 12 times negative 1 gives us 12. A to the 8th times a is going to give me a to the 9th power. And we have that over 4. We can simplify this to 3a to the 9th power. So I hope these examples help you. There's a lot of them. I tried to get all the different examples in there that we've used in the last few videos. There are examples, many examples of each of the different laws that we've gone through in the rules, and I hope this helps.